Alright folks, Pitching Ace 88, we are back. Playing Plants vs. Zombies 2, it's about time. We are on Big Wave Beach, heading on to Day 2. Now again, Day 2 is going to be very similar to Day 1. User Dave, data suggests that we should be aware of the tides. When the tide comes in, it'll be a wipeout for our plant friends. Indeed, but the tide line indicates how high the water will rise. Plan accordingly. The tide comes in, the tide goes out. Who can explain it? That would be science user Dave. So this is going to show you a little bit of what the tide means. The awesome thing about the tide, it comes up, it comes down. You can plant stuff on the lily pads. Now, the tricky thing is that you're going to end up eventually getting a tangled kelp. The problem with the tangled kelp is the tide actually has to be up for you to be able to do anything. So this adds a very, very cool, tricky aspect to Plants vs. Zombies. Personally, I love it. I think it's a pain. I think it's very difficult. I'm not 100% of a fan of it, but I will say that out of all of the worlds, this one's probably one of my favorite because it's the most difficult, if that makes sense. It's kind of hard to say. Now you'll notice that the zombies will actually just walk straight over the lily pads. They will only do that if the water isn't up to the tide line. If the water is up to the tide line, they will actually just eat through the lily pads. So that's something to know. For instance, right here, it's not really that big of a deal to stop them. You can also remove the lily pads, but again, you only get about 15 sun. So at this point, that's not really going to be one of my main concerns. Once you get a first plant food, what you can do in this one is you can use the power radish, basically. Put it on one of the twin sunflowers and basically give yourself a whole heck of a lot of sun. I personally love the Infininut. Thank you for someone in the comments saying that it wasn't the Invisinut. I always thought it was the Invisinut because it always goes invisible at a certain point. So that's not it, but it's a ton of fun. It's one of the most useful plants I find here because you can use a plant food on it and basically protect yourself from everything. What we're going to do here is we're going to really focus on putting down a magnet shroom just to get rid of the main guy in the middle row. Once we do that, we're basically golden. This level's not going to give you too many difficult zombies to go with. The really only difficult one that they're going to give you is the Buckethead. So the real easy way to get rid of the Buckethead is just to plant a magnet shroom or two. I normally do a couple of them just because, as you can see, it does take about 5 seconds for it to go through. When you get to that final wave, they are going to throw a whole bunch of Bucketheads at you, and if you don't have enough plant foods for it, you're going to end up, wondering what to do, having to basically wait for it. So right here, you'll notice now everyone's coming up at you. And this is it. At this point, we've got everything that we need. We can use the plant food on the twin sunflowers to give us more sunflowers than we could ever possibly need. And you'll notice that with these dragon flowers, I mean, these guys are awesome. But with the sun, what we're going to do is we're going to basically plant those on the dragon flowers and basically allow them to cover a whole row. Easily, you can speed this up. You'll notice that a lot of times in this, a lot of these levels and days are actually going to take quite a bit of time, just because they like to add a whole lot of flags, a whole lot of zombies. So like right here, boom, you can easily just plant that super quick. They're going to eat it, and I don't really care if they do, so that's why I just let them go right through. But you'll notice that with what we're doing right here, we're getting through these zombies. They're not really even making a dent to our Invisinuts. Now, they would do a really good job to our Invisinuts if we didn't have the magnet shrooms back there. But the magnet shrooms basically make this level and the previous level super easy. You'll notice right there with all the sun that we got, we're basically able to make as a ton of coverage with the plant food. So right here, you'll notice if we plant the plant food, boom, we get everything. We also, boom, take out the whole row. Main reason I'm doing that is, one, to speed it up, because this is, again, one of the easier levels. The first 5 or 6 levels, are usually the easiest, and because they have 31 levels in this area, or I think it's 32 including the boss, they do a lot of fillers. They make a lot of them that are a little bit more challenging. You're also going to be getting a few levels that are introducing different aspects of the game and different plants of the game to hopefully get you to utilize them a little bit more in your strategies. Personally, I don't like to use much of the plants that you get in this level or in this area, but you will notice that the bowling nuts, a couple of the ones later on do actually do a decent job. As you can see right there, do an easy job of just boom, taking them out. You take them all out, and as you can see in the top row, the magnet shrooms are going to get rid of all the other bucket heads. And at that point, it's going to make this day winnable. So guys, this has been Pitching Ace 88. I'll see you guys all in the next day. Over and out.